Welcome back to yet another chat. We're talking money, finances. In fact, probably the best. I'm going to share two pieces of advice, financial investing slash sort of kind of money mindset advice that I was given that I think are the top two pieces that I've ever been given that I do my best to live by. And it's made a dramatic impact in my financial life. And to me, finances, I see money as a tool. And so if I can improve the health of my financial life, every other area of my life improves. The things I love, the way I contribute, the things I can do, the options, even the doors it can open and the things you can get involved with. To me, that's the point of money. There's no other point of money. The point of money is not to just stack digits in your bank account because what's the use? Which is the first thing I wanted to talk about. So two pieces of advice. In between, I'm working on this thing today. I have a track day, August 10th, Area 27 with the air-cooled Porsche. And I'm putting a big brake kit on it. Anyways, I love cars, as you can tell. The first piece of advice I was given, this was huge for me. I find in the investing finance world, we're either saving our way to a rainy day and we're stacking dollars, saving away, terrified to spend it, or we're investing it because compound interest, and we're so terrified to actually spend money on things we love or just to kind of spend the money on anything because we've been taught to be so frugal and waiting for a future day to reap the rewards. Or we're either just spending every dollar we make. We have no financial education and we're wondering why we're living a paycheck to paycheck. So I find people are either sides of those extremes. To me, I found myself when I first started was obviously, why don't I have any money? I was always spending my money buying stupid stuff, snowmobiles, toys, cars, but I had no financial education. It went just as quick as it came. Then I flipped to the complete other side and I was like, Lucas, invest. And I started investing money. And I had a hard time spending anything, like even hotels. And I always look for the cheapest hotel because I don't want to spend money because I want to invest my money. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but eventually it started consuming me. It started feeling like the money was owning me. And I was like, what's the point of building an investment portfolio if I never take profit or if those profits don't buy me anything, I just keep reinvesting. So I started making I learned this first piece of wisdom from someone. They said, spend 50% of your money like you're going to die tomorrow and invest 50% like you're going to live forever. I like that. 50-50 is just a guideline. It's the principle behind that. You have to know where you're at in your journey. If you're just starting, maybe it's 90-10. 90% of money gets invested, 10% gets spent. But as you start building a nest egg or your portfolio starts building, it's like maybe you'll go 60-40, 50-50. Maybe later on in your life, you'll be like 80-20. Like I just spend 80% of it and I invest 20%, whatever. But you get the point. You've got a pre-allocated percentage of your income and of your profits and of your portfolio income that goes back into building the investment portfolio. Compound interest does its wonders. But you have a percentage of it that you actually spend on things you love, whatever that is to you. Holidays, vacations, boats, cars, dinners. Maybe you like fancy dinners and you want to treat all your friends or your family members to it. Maybe you want to buy your parents a house. I don't know. But a percentage of it gets spent. That's what it's there for. And again, there's going to be, depending where you're at in your cycle in life, or if you're 20 years old and you're just starting, you'll probably be investing more than you're spending. But even then, you've got it. Like life gets, it's like, oh, I'll just keep one day. So I've met people who are like financially in a really good place. They could easily cross one or two things off their bucket list and have that experience. And they're still like, well, one day. What if one day never comes? I feel like the purpose of life is not just pleasures and enjoyment. It is, I think, it's to build meaningful things with meaningful people, do things with people you care about, give back in meaningful ways. But there's also an element of like actually experiencing life and the things that are meaningful to you and that you want to experience. And a lot of people don't because they're so programmed to not spend. So in the comments, or just think through this, what allocation could you set for where you're at? 90% gets reinvested and invested, 10% gets spent. What would that number be? Oh, hey, I have $400 a month or $1,200 a month or $200 a month to just spend, to enjoy. Give it away to charity. I don't care. But to do something with it, to get used to like, oh, put money in circulation. The other piece of advice, which I think is like a supercharger on this, was this kind of stupid stuff. See if you can build a portfolio, if you can construct things that pay for the liability. How can you have your assets pay for the liabilities? Case in point, I shouldn't have freaking listened to this dude, but a buddy of mine showed me a car. He's like, maybe you'd be really interested in this. This was about a week ago. It's a McLaren 720S. And I know the price of it, and I've been kind of working the numbers, massaging the numbers. I know what my monthly payment on it could be if I chose to do payments. And then I instantly go to what's an investment I can make that can cover the cost of this. It was a really cool opportunity for some private lending to someone I know really well. The money is backed by hard assets, and the yield, the returns I get on the monthly basis more than cover the car. And so I like to think in terms of, and this again, to me, it's kind of like the 50-50 rule is just on steroids. I think it's better financial decisions is, well, what if I invest my money into assets and then the yield from those assets, I could buy stupid stuff I can spend, kind of like the 50-50. And then any new income can keep going into investments, but my investment income, what it spits back at me, I can guilt-free spend it because I haven't traded my time for it. It's money making me money. All my cars work this way. Any stupid purchase works this way. If I was to, we moved on a lake here, and I'm not into boats, but when I moved here, I was looking at boats, and that's the first thing I did. Oh, $250,000, you can get a wakeboard boat. I didn't do it because I don't like boats. I'd rather just rent it for a week of the year for freaking $8,000 and not deal with the boat. But the first thing I did was, what would the payments on a boat, instead of buying it cash, what would the payments on the boat be? And how could I get some hands-off investments that would easily cover the payment? And then eventually I just decided I don't want a boat. I like cars, not much of a boat guy. So to me, again, that's like rule number one. Spend 50% like you're going to die tomorrow, invest 50% like you're going to live forever, but it's on steroids. It's sort of like I think a more savvy way to think about it. And then again, you're still in your 50-50. You've invested up front, and then you're taking the yield from that to live your lifestyle or to buy stuff or to do stuff. And you can guilt-free spend. And again, you have to make an allocation of it. I like to do around 50-50 on that front. You can tell I'm a little more conservative. So the car that I have, I know the monthly payment on it. The yields I would get from this investment I'm looking at would cover the payment, and I'd still have left over to use some of that money to invest in other things. I really hope that helps. I know this might sound so simple, but I think very few are taught it. And if you're taught it, very few actually live by it, and they wonder why 5 or 10 years goes by and they haven't made any kind of meaningful progress, or because they keep spending the money, or they've turned into these bit of a Scrooge, it's like they got money, but they're afraid to spend it, and all they're obsessed about is making more. And I see people stuck in that, and I'm like, I'll share this one story because this is where I really started looking at this. Is when I started my first business, I was 26, had no money, never knew how the bills were going to be paid every month. Everything was always tight. And 3 years after that, I actually started making some money, and I started stacking some money, and I had a couple $100,000 in savings, and I was more stressed and anxious when I started making money than before I had money, because before I had money, it was not much to lose. I was just going for it. Every month was like an adventure. You just couldn't lose. When as I started making money, I found myself getting a little more anxious and stressed. I was like, this makes no sense. It's because I had something to lose. And I was just starting to stack the dollars because it gave me some false sense of like security, all this stuff that we're not taught. And I had to work through it. And that's when some of these basic principles started applying. Oh, I'm going to spend half of this, invest the other half. Oh, I'm going to invest it, and from the yields, pay for the liabilities. Have assets, pay for liabilities. And I would say that nowadays I can guilt-free spend money, and I know my ratio. I know if I'm overspending because I'm going over my set allocation, or I know if I'm being a little Scroogey, and know if I'm being a little bit what's the word? Maybe operating from a place of fear or scarcity. And I know what's right for me in this season of life, which is different than 3 years ago, and it'll probably be different than 3 years in the future. But this is kind of pre-allocated. So I really hope that helps in some way, shape, or form. If it did, Like this video. Let me know in the comments what landed for you. And with that said, have fun. Life is short. Since I had a kid, I see him grow, and it's like time has become so much more real for me. And I'm like, man, every day that goes by, you don't get back. We live in so much fear and stress and anxiety over things that aren't even true. I'm like, just go big and go for it. You don't take any of it with you. And your life is there to live. And I do believe, this is just my belief, is that if you live life full out, you inspire many others to say, maybe I can live full out. What would that look like for me? I think it's such a gift when you when you when you truly live in alignment with what's true for you, not trying to be Instagram some way. What's true for you? You inspire many others to wake up and say, I'm going to do the same. Just saying. Like this video, let me know in the comments if anything landed. And with that said, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.